Well, all right, everybody. Welcome back to the No Quarter Podcast.
Idaho's #1 podcast.
It's always
Brought
so
to
funny.
you not live at all from the SimShot studio here in Meridian, Idaho. Also by shopblackrifle.com, who we happen to have the owners of both of those fine establishments.
Amazing establishments.
Mine's all right. Yours is a little better than mine.
I don't
That's
know,
a little
man.
more
I don't know.
established. It's the establishment's more established.
Yeah.
More established.
We're still almost fly by night here.
Yeah. Hey, boys, doing?
Good, man.
Had a good weekend, man. How about you guys?
It was a good weekend. What? Today's Monday, February 10th,
Yeah.
day after the Super Bowl.
Interesting Super Bowl.
I had a great weekend. It was like one of these weekends where I finally I slept pretty bad last night, but I feel rested. Had a great time with my kids. Minimal issues.
Minimal issues.
Yeah.
Normal kid stuff. Got to watch the Chiefs get spanked. That was a ton of fun. Spanked.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
The liberal Kelsey lost.
Yeah.
And that's a win for society.
Got to send my kids out on their first time in a limo. They did like our school did like a mother-son like date night kind of thing.
That's cool.
It was cool. So my buddy and I like tried to make it all fancy. We got them like long stem roses so the boys could give them to the moms and sent them off in a limo. And they left early and got dessert. It was cool. So,
That's awesome.
And church Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday night. It was a great weekend, man.
Nice. I didn't go to church this weekend,
No way. Really?
but on Saturday I did work with a church group.
There you go. That almost counts.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, I did say I am blessed to be able to do this.
There's
And everyone's like, "Fuck yeah, amen, brother." And I was like, "Yeah."
you're like, I think I mean it different than you guys do.
No, I mean, just as like a generalized statement, I am
Sure.
blessed to get to do what I do. I just don't know what the blessing is. I just think it's just a good descriptive word
Well,
for
I think
it.
you probably know what the blessing is. It would probably be more ill-defined where the blessing comes from.
There you go. That's the marker that I need to find. But yeah, I worked with a church group, and
That's cool.
What'd you guys do?
So usually what we do with church groups for the first time, because it's when we first work with a church group, unless they take the time to come here.
SimShot worked with the.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, let's get
SimShot
some
does
context.
church
Yeah,
security.
I'm trying to figure out.
Clarifying,
Yeah.
SimShot does church security training for, I think we have 11 pretty major churches in the valley that we're
Yep.
working with, which is great. We love it. And we kind of push them into a quarterly or biannually training here, depending on which one they do is how long it is. But usually the first couple times with them, unless they come in and sit down and say, "Hey, here's our protocols, here's our standards, here's what we do." It's kind of exploratory, kind of like,
What do you have? As
Yeah,
far
I mean,
as like,
that's-
what are your definitions kind of thing?
yeah, like that's it. Like, do you guys have comms? Yes. Okay, cool. What are your comms protocols? Do you guys have evacuation protocols, lockdown protocols? Like, we go through all of it. So the first time we worked with this group was a new group. We worked with our sister church the weekend before. Two completely different sets of protocols and ideas and things. And they were pretty close, man. They have a lot of good
Ideas,
mindset stuff going on. And they're still young. So there's still a lot of like growing pains and stuff, but they're taking initiative and it's fun.
I've been approached twice by two different, I'm going to use the word organizations. Both are faith-based, both are not churches. One is, one isn't. About being a part of like the security team. And I have always, and this is my own issue, but I've always just been like, yeah, like I totally downplay like how into guns I am, how much I've trained, like my experience, my capabilities, because like I'm not interested in being a part of it. And this is my personal fear. And you might actually be able to speak to this, but like I see a bunch of these guys and I don't know any of them. So it's totally me judging a book by its cover. But I see a bunch of guys who just want to be cool guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like super nervous that the capability
Of others.
is super subpar. So I carry every Sunday, but it's not like, for me, my mindset has to change because I know at my church there are armed guards, and I'm sure some of them are like capable individuals, but I'm also, and they've got a whole thing going on, right? So now I'm an armed individual who is capable and willing to act and intercede in a critical situation. But I also have a bunch of people who probably have not spent a whole lot of time dealing with acute stress,
Yeah.
who are now going to be wielding a gun in a very stressful, potentially stressful situation. Like that puts me at inherent risk.
I got called to do security for the Republican Winter Carnival here. It was here at Harvest Church right downtown Meridian.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went down to do the site walk, because there was only 3 of us, so it was Mike. I think you guys met Mike, retired San Francisco PD, and then my buddy Dominic. But so it was just 3 of us, and we went and did the site walk. Oh my goodness, there were so many points of entry that just, I mean, if someone wanted to go in there and take out like all the legislators,
really, all they wanted is like sober people who had guns to fight back if something happened.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
really what they wanted.
It was so wild. Like there were so many points of entry and so many just rooms and hallways at that church and just levels of like different levels where, dude, you couldn't cover everything.
Yeah.
So part of the protocols, I staged an AR in a room that was locked, just that we had keys to, you know, just to have a long gun in there. And we probably, I mean, dude, we were so, if somebody was actually to come in there and do some crazy shit,
Yeah.
the 3 of
They'd
us,
get
it would have been
like, I know,
a nightmare.
I don't
So
know.
in those churches, those big mega churches here, I'm like, they better have like a great contingency plan, and they better have some good security.
I don't know for sure, but I've done a lot of observation. I've seen what I'm almost positive are breakdown bags. So like they've got kit that is off body but nearby.
Yeah.
Rifles that are either broken down or folders, like little shorties in a bag. Like there's guys posted at different choke points, different entry points, you know, out between our kids. You know, we've got 2 main. So I guess my point is this: is there's
don't expose your church.
Yeah. There's I guess my point is this: is there is a lot of planning and contingency planning that you need to put into something like that if you're going to do security correct.
And I would hope that I mean, there's a lot of people that are armed, obviously, here in Idaho, but there's a lot of retirees that are ex, you know, military, ex law enforcement. But I would hope that there'd be like current law enforcement in those church contingency plans. You know what I mean? Like
that scares me
SWAT
more.
operators or something. Because somebody like Rock Harbor, dude, have you seen how big that church is?
Oh yeah,
that place is massive.
That's Idaho massive.
Like,
that's not California massive.
No, but that's a big church, and there's a lot of wealthy people in there. If somebody wanted to come in there and just steal people's cars, like, did you see the cars parked out in front of that place?
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, dude, they're driving
and
like
my hat's off
Ferraris and shit. And I'm like,
my hat's off to the guys who are willing to step up and serve in that capacity. It just makes me really nervous because I haven't taken the time to become aware of what their plans are. But I know how, if you are going to do it well, how much detail and attention to detail needs to go into it.
Oh boy.
And I just hope it's done.
So out of all the churches we work with, there's one where I would feel comfortable going.
Oh, you can tell me offline.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
They're very popular church.
If there is any church security personnel listening to this, if you guys want a deal on training ammo, let me know. I'll make that happen. I will cut my costs down to like next to nothing to make that happen, because
that's really cool. Thank you.
Training is very important. So get with Jeromy or get with my staff at Boise Black Rifle.
Yeah, that's a good way.
That's
a good way to do it.
Or any of the stores.
If you're church security and you're training with SimShot, how about that? Well,
yeah,
that's a good way to do it.
Because we got to make that live fire worth something.
Yeah, no, it's got to matter.
Do you guys do site visits?
We do. Part of the problem is, so when dealing with church groups and churches, the biggest obstacle is typically the leadership of the actual security team has
ego.
I was a cop for 20 years.
Yeah, let's just say it. Ego.
Yeah.
Always.
And here's the
ego.
thing. That's great. That's great.
Mhm.
I think that's great. I think that you did whatever your passion was, or you wanted a pension. That's great. Do your thing. That doesn't inherently mean that you're qualified to understand how to run a full team of people.
It may.
If you're a teams guy. If you're not a teams guy, the average cop does not understand a lot of that stuff.
Here's an example that parallels what we're talking about. I've got a very close friend whose her boyfriend is a very experienced try not to like put out the agency. He's a very experienced officer within a very, very large agency in California. And he's a motors guy, and he's like a single point of knowledge for doing road closures for major events and like motorcade type stuff.
Mhm.
Like he gets tapped for everything because that is his area of expertise. It's pretty rare for smaller departments to have somebody that has that much focused experience
Yeah.
on a specific thing.
Yeah.
And setting up security for, let's say you've got a security team of 50 people for 6,000 people or 20 people for 6,000 people or whatever it is. Your ratio, those are terrifying ratios.
Oh, it's insane.
And that's on the small side.
Yeah.
That's on the small side. There are churches and organizations that meet that are a lot bigger. So you have to have very specific knowledge to do that the right way.
Yeah.
And there is a right way and there is definitely a wrong way.
1,000%. And we try to be nice about it.
Yeah. I mean, you have
You know,
to,
if
right?
we see something that's like, whoa, we need to talk about this,
Mhm.
you know, and we will, because if SimShot's name's attached to it, we have undoubtable care of the quality of information going out.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So like all these church groups, we tell them like beforehand, like, look, like here's the thing, dude. Like if you want to train here, and your guys are coming in and they don't know how to draw from holster, they don't know how to grip their guns properly. If it's bad, like we're gonna call them out immediately,
Yeah.
and we're gonna call you and let you know as leadership immediately, because you're creating a liability and your standards are not there.
Are you
And
guys dealing more with the mechanics or are you dealing with like security plans?
We're dealing. So the base of it is typically, so like when we first work with a group, it's exploratory for me to try to probe as much as I can to get as much information from them as I can
Sure.
about what they do, so I understand what their pains are and what their strengths are.
Yeah.
So then the following training, I can lean more into what they need to work on, right? So the first session with us is usually 2 to 4 hours, depending on the size of the group. It's usually split up into 2 groups. One group's on the simulator while I'm doing a PowerPoint and, explaining all of that. And what I do on the PowerPoint is essentially like, here's a rough overview of some of the important key items every church security group must have,
Mm-hmm.
period. Like non-negotiable things. It doesn't mean that it has to be done the way I'm explaining it, but like you need procedures for medical. You need every single person on that staff should be CPR, AED, first aid, stop to bleed certified. Like there are specific items we have to hit. Everyone knows how to properly work their radios and to release the buttons and make sure that they're not like clogging the airways. And there's stuff like that we go over. And it's more just like, I'll talk about it and then I'll be like, so what do you guys have in place for this? And then we'll talk about it and we'll drive and I'll take notes and learn. But our big thing is we try to stress them out as much as humanly possible on the simulator.
Yeah.
Right? So we give them no descriptions. We're just like, hey, you're at church. So every scenario is going to be at a church. So all the scenarios we pull up are church related, and we don't give you any heads up on what it is.
Yeah.
Because
you never know.
You're at church.
Yeah.
Right. And then we just go through it and we put them through either something that requires insane critical thinking and problem solving or something that requires extreme precision in a high liability setting. Because when we look at church shootings or any kind of public mass shooting type situation, dude,
Chaos.
And you have to be so good.
So good.
And people don't understand. Like we see like the Dickens, the guy at the mall that did that 40-yard,
right,
10 shots, 8 hit or whatever it was he did. And it's like,
that takes work.
That takes work, but there was a degree of luck in that.
Oh, I mean,
for sure.
There's a lot of outside variables, externalities where that can change simply by, it may not even be reflective of your skill set, just movement.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody comes into your line of fire that you don't have peripheral on.
Yeah. And so for that, like I was explaining, like, yes, it's possible to make a lot of good shots on a moving target in a place where people are running around. The stars aligned for that guy.
Yeah.
Because no one running across him.
It wasn't a flat range.
It was the stars aligned for him. At church, it's a congested concentration of people.
Yeah.
Any bullet that leaves the gun is an extremely
it's a huge
dangerous, terrifying, high liability shot.
Right. Couldn't even imagine in that setting.
It's terrifying.
Somebody coming in there and wanting to do harm. That'd be just. You got kids. You have you have families. Like,
I'm weird. I have my own like kind of plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like I sit in a pretty. I mean, if somebody were tracking me, I'm very predictable on Sundays. Like we've sat in different areas all throughout the auditorium. I sit in a very specific space for a reason. Gives me clear lines of sight on all but one entry point. I have immediate and clear access to move towards my primaries, which are my kids.
Yep.
My wife has a plan. Like we know, like if something pops off, what we are doing.
Yeah.
We know her priorities. We know my priorities.
And hopefully other families do too. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Well,
there's a lot of people put their head in the sand about
I think
things.
I think it's sub 5%.
Oh, easy. Yeah. I mean, most people just show up and go about their motions.
I think it's sub 5%.
I mean, just go to any gas station and pump gas and watch people.
Yeah.
No one knows what the fuck is happening around them.
Yeah. It's sub 5%. People are content being sheep.
Mm.
And I'm not trying to say, I do say that with a degree of judgment because it's not the type of person I tend to surround myself with. But I try not to judge. I think people want to live under the veil of comfort and security, thinking there are those who are called to more.
Yeah, people just outsource everything
around.
now.
Yeah.
Right. And I want that. I want that for my kids and my wife. As my boys become men, that they will not be afforded the privilege of being sheep.
No.
Yeah.
I'm going to force them into the light. But they're not men yet. They're boys. You know what I mean?
They're kids.
I want that for my wife.
Yeah.
But I also don't want her to be naive and ignorant. So there's a difference. I want you to feel comfortable and not paranoid. And I don't think what I am is paranoid. I'm just aware. I'm very aware.
Sometimes, bro, like, so my wife is so like prepared, like on so many different levels. Like,
Sorry about that. Same failure as last time.
dang.
It's total user error. Though.
But it's
That-
going to be
at least-
seamless. You won't even notice people.
I mean, you'll hear the pause and we're back. But yeah, we're back.
We're back.
No, so what I was saying is, Sherry sometimes, like, she's so over prepared for a lot of situations. And I think it was just her upbringing,
Sure.
her dad was in the military and shit. And it's just like, sometimes I'm like, let me just take care of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's like, well, I went around the house and locked all the doors. That's like the man's job. And it's like, before I can even do it, she's already doing those things. You know what I mean? Like,
That's what's funny. She's like gaslighting you into
gaslighting me, bro. I'm like, dude, come on. Like,
we're calling you out, Sherry. Let Rob
you're
be the
over here in
man.
the bedroom all ready to go to bed, and I've already locked all the doors. Well, what she doesn't know is I already went around and looked at all the doors. But you know what I mean? So she's so over prepared on a lot of things. And, her situation awareness is like par. Sometimes she'll see things before I do.
I love that.
And not that I'm not paying attention. It's just like she's hyper focused on certain things, like at the gas pump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I'm super
looking
stoked,
around.
dude. I've been carrying concealed for a long, long time. And I just chose to never license. But
You still don't have to.
I know. Well, now I don't have to. Before I was supposed to.
Right.
Never did. But it was a first offense misdemeanor.
Dude, I always tell everybody,
I wasn't worried about it. But
carry.
yeah,
Regardless.
For sure. I mean,
regardless of your state laws, carry a gun.
I carried a gun in California for years and years and years.
Because we're we're now a company. I'm not going to advocate that you break your local laws, but how about this? Make your own decisions and be wise.
Sorry.
That's probably the better way to
Messing with my
better way to
mic,
put
dude.
it. But yeah, we're taking the ECC,
Check it up.
the enhanced with you guys on the 22nd.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Is it this month?
Yeah, 22nd.
Yeah, the 22nd. It'll be fun. It's actually a relatively small class because we oversaturated the market for January
Oh, nice.
and December because we did like $60 classes and like hella promos.
Yeah.
So we had like 2 classes with like 20 something people in each one. So like we like
I love smaller's better.
smaller's better for
conversation.
me for concealed carry. That class is the most terrifying class to teach.
I know that I already have mine, but can I come and sit and listen to the
Yeah.
portion?
Yes.
I just like to hear the PCs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing I'm most excited
I
about.
wrote them all down. I have them in my phone.
Is
just
Corey
like,
Corey's doing the legals?
Yeah, and he does a great job. I mean, he'll update his presentation once a year when the laws change or go into effect if anything's different. But he's got skin in the game.
Do you guys, this is a good idea for you. Do you guys build a mailing list off of your concealed carry? And-
Anyone who buys anything on our website at all,
But then do you then send out an annual update for laws? You should have Corey build that every year.
I should. For what we pay him, wouldn't hurt.
I would like to know if you guys want to do a promotion with us with a Stop the Bleed class.
He's like, yes.
No, for real. Like, I want to do a Stop the Bleed class for Boise Black Rifle
I'll come teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boise Black Rifle customers.
Yeah.
So if that's something that we can put on the calendar after the grand reopening, we can talk about that. And
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know how many that will hold in there, but
40.
40. Okay. and then
40 seated.
we will talk
comfortably.
offline. But I would like to know.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out and like promote it.
Yeah. So right now the way we do our Stop to Bleed is it's literally like no one else in. I have never seen this style of availability. But Nick's our Stop to Bleed instructor, and he has all the certifications and all blah blah blah, all the stuff to teach the curriculum, and it's bookable as a standard simulation appointment. So you can go on the website and you could just click like, oh, Stop to Bleed, interesting, boom, oh, 2.5 hours. You click it, and
So you can do one-on-one Stop to Bleed.
It's one-on-one. It's completely private.
So it's a 2.5 hour course
just for bleeding control.
Okay.
That's all it is. It's like a 20-30 minute PowerPoint. And then the PowerPoint continues and he goes to each section as he's doing it as a backdrop to like give like step-by-step stuff, but it's all hands-on application. It's packing wounds. Like
it's pretty crazy how many tourniquets we go through at the store. And I think it's because we really push it. If you're carrying a gun, you should probably have a tourniquet. At the very least, you should have a tourniquet.
People are becoming more aware.
It's really exciting when people are into the medical, they're into the training, and they're actually into their self-preservation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we can't be outsourcing our fucking executive protection. We can't outsource that shit. The cops will never, ever be there when you fucking need them. They will come after.
And it's crazy, dude. I mean, obviously, I'm not... I had a situation happen last weekend.
Oh, yeah, we should talk about that. That was really... So, before we even get into that, like, and I was talking to Erica about this, and I even talked about it to this church group this past weekend, and you touched on it today. I don't surround myself with people who are not capable of saving my life.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't care about some of these people, but like if you think you're going to hang out with me and my kids in a big public setting and you're not going to have to know how to apply any kind of aid, you're not coming with us.
I'm not quite like that, but I definitely, my principal sphere of influence is people who are like-minded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I believe that you're the sum of your surroundings. You know what I mean? And so by nature, I want to be with and be around people
100%
that are similar to me.
Yeah.
No, and that's not an arrogance thing.
It's so funny that you say this because I have a buddy that just moved here with his family, him and his wife. They were super tired of California and the vaccines and stuff and on their child.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, dude, we're out of here. When they keep pushing all this stuff. So they moved up here like, I don't know, 4 months ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been inviting him more. He took your class.
Yeah. Great guy.
And I said, dude,
love him.
You have to get
so nice.
You have to get training.
Yep.
I said, if we're going to be hanging out in a scenario where you, me, your child, and your wife are all hanging out together, I want to know that you're proficient with your firearm if you're going to be carrying, because he carries every day.
Yep.
He's always carried.
Yep.
And I just like, if we're going to be together, I want to know that you're proficient. So you got to start taking classes.
Yeah.
And I invited him to the range this weekend to get more trigger time. But dude, I feel the exact same way. It's like, dude, I want to be hanging out with like-minded people that can actually.
I just need to know who's a liability and who I'm going to. There's just nonverbals, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if it's that important, but I mean, if I'm out at a restaurant and like
so important
dinner and like, but
if I know that somebody's already thinking the same way as I am, if something happens, I no longer have to explain the situation.
Yeah, I can just look at you and be like,
simple,
hey,
like, hey,
we're getting this
lock
thing
eyes
on.
and it's going.
threat, like you're left, I'm right, you're front. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's a mindset.
It's just a different world that we live in. Like, I don't want to, like, people are like, oh, you got to carry a gun. You fucking live in fear. No, it's just like, I want to be prepared. And I don't want to have to wait for fucking 911 like I just had to do the other day when that vehicle accident happened. You know what I mean? I want to be able to jump in, take care of what I need to do. And
it's almost a selfish thing
get out
for
of
me.
there.
It is. That's okay.
I mean, this is an element of it. I would never be able to live with myself if something happened and I decided to slack that day.
Yeah.
I would never be able to live with myself because to me, in my mind, the day that I don't carry is the day that something's going down.
Yep.
Which maybe that's paranoid, but I'm not willing to.
That's Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm going to tell you this. I guess we can go into this. I don't really want to go, like, I can go into detail. It's like, I'm not trying to be like some hero here, but I'm just like, in that situation, it was like a test of me.
Well, let's tell the story. Tell the story from the beginning.
All right. So, Friday of last week, I had to travel over to Homedale, Idaho, which is about a 25-minute drive from my house. And that morning, woke up and there was 6 to 8 inches of snow everywhere. Conditions weren't great. Road conditions were, the plows couldn't keep up with the snow. I had to be at that destination. I was going to pick up a cow that we had butchered in Homedale. And I needed to be there when they opened because I had been putting off going and picking it up. I had just so much stuff going on.
They're like, come get your beef.
They're like, come and get it, dude, because we have got a lot of slaughtered beef in here. We need it out. So drove over there, 7:30 in the morning, and the road conditions were fucking terrible. And as you know, in the wintertime in Idaho, it stays darker later.
Yep.
It's starting to stay lighter later now.
A little bit.
But it was pretty dark at that point, and the roads were terrible. So as I'm driving into Homedale, like I said, 25 minutes, I get the beef, and I was there maybe 35 minutes waiting for them to get it all situated and loaded in the truck. And on my way back, the road conditions were still pretty terrible. However, there was a plow. There was a plow in front of me about as I turned off the main road onto Simplot, coming eastbound. I see a plow. I get up to the plow, and I notice that he's about 150 yards away from me, and I see that he's like kind of in the middle of the 2-lane road and not really on the right side plowing. Well, you know, those plows are huge.
They're wide.
They're wide.
Super wide.
I see a car in the distance with no lights on, which drives me nuts here. Idaho, a lot of drivers drive in inclement weather with no.
Which doesn't make any sense anymore because most vehicles are automatic. Just put it on
put
the
it in
A.
auto mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see this car start to get over in the lane and go really onto the shoulder. The car wasn't out of control at all, but it was. I focused on that. And as the car started getting closer to me, I can see that she's still not correcting, or I didn't know if it was a he or she until after the fact. She didn't correct and get back in the lane. She was still riding on that shoulder. And as she got closer to me, I kind of moved over a little bit. And as she was getting to about my mirror and then to my shoulder, I noticed in the mirror like a flash of red light. And I was like, wow, that was weird. I looked back in my mirror, and my truck throws up a lot of snow and debris on my mirrors, so they're not very clear. And I didn't see her anymore. So I stopped, like came to a complete stop, and I fucking opened my door, and I look behind me, and there's no car.
And she's gone.
She's gone.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, close my door, put it in reverse. I back up about 20 feet. And to my left, there was a canal. So here, if anybody lives in eastern Idaho, or southwestern Idaho, we have a lot of canals that run water.
This canal was not shallow.
Yeah,
no, it was actually pretty damn deep.
This canal was probably 15 to 20 feet.
I was going to say, based off of the pictures, I would have called that in with an estimate of 20 foot, like down to 20 foot embankment, and it,
easy.
Overturning a canal.
So the car was disappeared. It was gone. Gone from the roadway.
Zero visibility from the roadway.
Zero visibility from the roadway. I park my car. I actually back it up, and I kind of occupy 2 lanes of traffic to stop somebody because I don't know where she's at. I don't know what's going on, but I just immediately think, okay, she's in that canal. There were no tire tracks. There were no marks at all. So my thought is she was airborne. When she hit that ditch, she went Dukes of Hazzard style.
She probably did.
And she went in it.
If there were no tracks going down, that's the only thing that stands to reason.
So I park my truck at maybe a 45, put my hazards on, and I jam out of my truck and I leave my fucking door open. Like I just run over to the canal. I look down, fucking there the car is upside down.
Yeah.
So at that point, I'm at the end of the canal going, fuck, I got to call 911. My phone, I have AT&T, doesn't fucking work hardly anywhere here at all.
Which brings me to the ad I liked, because Elon and T-Mobile, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
Starlink.
Yeah, I'm
Starlink Mobile.
So this red Dodge truck pulls up, and he's like, dude, why are you in the middle of the road? I'm like, there's a car in the ditch, call 911 or run over to that house. So there was no easy access from that point of the canal, where the canal runs under the road.
Yeah.
And then it opens up. So I had to run around, and the snow is, it's a good 10 inches, I can hear her yelling and screaming from inside the car, and the car she's entrapped in there. And I run around the side of the canal, and I just slide down. I'm in fucking boots, jeans, and I just slide down on my ass all the way to it. And she's yelling, she's screaming, and she's hurt. And I reach for both door handles, and the fucking doors won't open.
Yep.
The car is so crushed down on the roof side, like the doors wouldn't fucking.
Seized up.
Dude, I kicked with everything I had, I could not kick the window out. I turned around, I put my hands on the embankment, and I mule kicked it twice, and I could not get the window to break. So I'm thinking, fuck, what do I do? At this point, I'm like, is my knife going to break this window? I got to run all the way back up the hill, back over to my truck. I'm telling this guy and asking this guy, hey, do you have anything in your truck that you could throw down to me to break this window? Finally, dude, I just fucking grabbed my Medford knife. Like, I have a pretty decent sized Medford knife.
Yeah, it's a meat
and
big fucking knife.
It's the Marine Corps fighter flipper. It's badass, dude. It's big. And I grabbed that motherfucker and I just start hitting that window. And I hit it down low, you know, because you're supposed to hit them on a corner.
Mm-hmm.
I hit that thing about 6 or 7 times. Finally, it broke through. And I grabbed and it was a heavy tinted window, like super black. So that thing it stayed intact. It had a little hole, cut my hand. I think when I kicked it, it unlodged it from the track because I was able to pull the whole window out.
Yeah.
In like a sheet, boom, and I threw it down and I look in there. So my first thought was, please don't have any kids. No kids in here. I don't want to see any kids upside down. There's water in that canal. So like a lot of things were going through my head. The car was it was a fucking total mess. So it was inverted. So I broke out the driver's side passenger window, the passenger side front window.
Okay.
The driver's side was completely crushed down about 4 inches to the steering wheel.
Yeah.
So when I looked in there, I grabbed my flashlight. There was shit everywhere, and she was in the passenger side rear seat. So she was unrestrained.
Or did she unbuckle herself?
I don't know, because there was a language barrier. She was Mexican lady that only speak a little bit of English.
She was conscious. I'm guessing she was restrained.
I would hope, but she had the biggest gash on her head, dude. It was wild.
Oh, maybe not.
So she was in the back seat, like all like contorted, you know, and I got in there, made sure that nobody else was in there. And I didn't really want to move her, but I wanted to get her flat. I wanted to get her flat and I wanted to make it easy for EMS to get her. So I'm trying to get all this information from her, how old she is, anybody else in the car, how fast she was going, but the language barrier was so great. Finally ended up getting out of her that she was 50. So I'm trying to relay this to the dude that was on the phone with EMS on their way.
Another bystander.
And by this time, other cars were stopping because my truck was kind of blocking the road. So I'm trying to calm her down, like, because she's starting to go into shock. Like, she's very pale. She's got a huge gas, a little bit of blood coming down. She had blood on her hands, but I couldn't tell if that blood was mine or if it was hers.
Mm-hmm.
And she had a major dislocated or broken shoulder.
Yeah.
Like, it was literally hanging off of her. And she was in a lot of pain. So finally, I get her situated. I grab her by the arm and I pull her. And dude, I need to get my fitness on. Like, I literally need to start lifting more weights. And because that made my heart so elevated, I wasn't doing anything it's
stress. It's acute stress.
It was just a big stress. Like, even talking about it now, I'm getting cotton mouth over it. It's like, never been put in that kind of a situation before. Like, where it's like, nobody was doing a fucking thing. That guy didn't help me up there. And good on him, whatever. He did call 911, but he didn't come down there to help me. And I could have used help. Like, because we could have got her out stable, hold her neck and whatnot. So anyhow, the only thing that I could do at that point, there was no major injuries that I needed to put a tourniquet on because I had a tourniquet. Because when I couldn't fucking get that window open, dude, my thought crossed my mind. I was either going to put the muzzle of this through there, or I might have shot the window out. I wasn't going to do that, actually. It did cross my mind to strike the window.
Yeah, your brain's
with the gun.
running.
Like, there's a lot of things going through.
If you unloaded it and struck the window with it, just like muzzle punched it, it would definitely break.
I would thought about it. If it didn't break again, or I had to leave her, which I didn't want to, and then go back up to my truck to get my window breaker.
Yeah.
So all these things were happening in such a dude, it felt like an eternity, but I know that after I looked at my phone,
5 minutes.
It was like a 5 or 6 minute until EMS got there. So it
was really that quick. I'd be surprised.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and look
based off of where you were, right? Because it was right outside of Melba, right?
It was right outside of Wilder. So I was actually in Wilder proper, but they're not too far away. The Wilder Police Department's it was maybe a couple miles away, but it seemed like it was an eternity, right? So the language barrier was a difficult thing to get through. She said she was 50. There was actually a dude that stopped, this Mexican gentleman stopped him and his buddy. He came down there and was helping like talk to her for me, because I was just telling her to stay calm, breathe, look at me, like calm down, because she was actually going into shock. She was in so much pain.
Oh, for sure.
And so yeah, the stop the bleed class, like things like that, dude. I'm glad I was in that situation, that I was there, because if I wasn't there, nobody would have known that she was down there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that the car didn't go any further, because she would have been upside down in water.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
stop the bleed's important. And then I would also like, maybe
First
this
on
is
the scene.
Maybe this is another thing that like we can just kind of start pushing, but like understanding acute spinal injury in traumatic scenarios and how to deal with it.
I was kind of disappointed in the fire guy. So the first guy off the truck obviously is the driver, and he's trying to assess the situation. He was either the captain or the driver, I don't know. But I was yelling up to him when he finally got there, because dude, it seemed like they were just like lollygagging. I'm like, dude, there's somebody down here. Like, get down here. And
I'll break it down.
I need your breakdown on that. You know, and I'm not second guessing him, but I could just tell you the way he treated me when he actually got to the car, I was very unimpressed, because I'm telling him, dude, we have fucking C-spine issue, most likely. I'm trying to tell him the injuries that she has. We need a board. We need a litter, because you're not getting her out of there in this slippy conditions. You're going to have to put her in a litter. You probably have to get a rope. Like, I'm trying to set him up. He gets down there, dude, and he puts his hands on me and he says, "We got it from here," like super rudely. And all I was doing,
you can hear that in the video,
dude. And I was
right,
yeah, because I heard
someone say we got it from here.
So because I recorded it and stuck the fucking phone in my, just for liability, dude. I don't know what the fuck people are gonna do. I pushed record, stuck it in my pocket, and you can hear all of this.
Yeah, it's just,
and I shared it with you guys.
It's basically just an audio recording.
It's just auto recording. It wasn't like I was like, oh fuck, look what the fuck's going on. You know, it's just like, dude, this is what's going on. Put it in my pocket. But dude, he physically like grabbed me and like, all right, we got it from here. And all I was trying to do until there was people down there to actually help her was keep her calm.
Yeah. That's
you know
all
what
you can
I mean?
do sometimes.
And so I was kind of disappointed in that, but I felt like it was nonchalant. Like, this ain't fucking serious. Like, she's not in trap. She's not in water. Like,
she was definitely,
you know
trapped.
what I mean? But
she wasn't extricated yet. So
it was kind of a weird situation, dude. And I told her I wasn't going to leave there until they got her out of there. But they definitely made us leave. Like, I couldn't stick around. They're like, you can go over there. And so the sheriff's deputy saw me because I had my hand was just fucking pouring out blood. He was actually really cool. He's like, dude, are you involved in this? And I'm like, I'm not really involved. Did you see it? And I said, I didn't really see the car. The car disappeared. I didn't see the car fly off the road. So, but I went down there. I found the car. I went down there, broke the window out. And he's like, well, dude, let me get you some bandages and shit. And I was like, yeah, all right, cool. And then he took my information, took my phone number, and I asked him to call me because I wanted to know how she did after the fact. I thought about her all weekend. And I never got a call. So
at that point, I mean, from a medical perspective, I'm not sure from the law enforcement side, but from medical, like
a HIPAA,
it's a HIPAA issue, right? You know what I mean? Technically speaking, like they can't give any identifying information.
Yeah,
like
I just wanted to make sure that
they should be able to be like, hey, it's gonna be a positive outcome, or it's gonna be, or it's a little dicey, like that kind of thing. But like I'll say this, so
I know you guys because I talked to one of my fire guys. My buddy's a fireman. He's an engineer on a truck. I talked to him a little bit.
Much that
they see it so much. It's just like they're way calm. They're trying to assess the situation. Do they need cribbage for the car?
Right.
like all these things. I know all
You're like,
of this.
Get her the fuck out.
And in that situation, I was like, motherfuckers, get your ass down here. And I want the fuck back up there.
And so that's like that's the point I wanted to make is like you have to understand like we're approaching the scene with a very different mindset.
Yeah.
Like one, their heart rate's not going to be elevated yet. Like, yes, it's not that it's not a serious situation, but everything that we train for is keep ourselves calm, because if we become part of the situation, we're no longer an asset to it.
Yeah.
And so it is all about, like, if you think you're jogging, walk. If you think you're walking, crawl, because you're going faster than your brain is registering. So it's move slow. You need to look and fully assess, because if you don't stand back and take 30 seconds to look at the situation from a total perspective, you don't understand what your secondary and tertiary threats are. So I can
see that, because when I first crested that little berm.
You go.
And I look down, total fucking tunnel vision.
Yep.
All I could fucking focus on was the fucking license plate of the car.
Right.
Because it was white,
Yeah.
the snow, the car was upside down, there was brush that was black. And I'm like, holy fucking shit, the car is actually down there.
Yeah.
So what I was thinking in my mind was like, holy shit, it happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't see it,
So-
I physically did not see it.
Right.
I thought it. And
Yeah.
then when I put eyes on it, holy shit, the car's there.
Yeah. Your brain completely just totally focuses
It was
in.
surreal, dude.
So what they are doing is standing back and intentionally basically going left to right, top to bottom. And they're looking for, is the vehicle running? Is it stable? Is there environmental? Is there fire?
Yeah.
Like all of this stuff. And then also putting together a plan of, okay, like what is the placement? What am I potentially going to need for extrication?
Yep.
Am I going to, and if it's the captain who's looking, who it should be, he's also giving.
He was on the radio. I saw him.
He's
He
on
was
the
giving
radio.
commands.
So he's giving a command. So now we are also thinking about what resources do I have? Who's en route? What resources do I need or don't need?
Yeah.
Right. So scenario, or person's upside down, still in trap.
And the car
I'm
was
getting this.
unstable completely. When I went up to it at first, when I
Right.
grabbed it, it moved.
You're rural. We've
Yeah.
got inclement weather. Do I have air resources? Can I consider that? What ground medical resources do I have coming? What law enforcement resources do I have coming? What rescue and extrication resources do I have present or coming? So there is a whole lot of consideration and communication that has to happen within the first second. And here's the reality. You've been there for a number of minutes as a layperson. You're focused and it seems like it's been forever.
Eternity, yeah.
And so you see the guys who you want to be there and you feel like you need to be sprinting down here and take over because you're the guy. But the other side of it is, though, yes, you are giving what you feel like is an accurate report on conditions, which is good. It is helpful. And I do take that into consideration anytime I hear it. I still have to start over.
Yeah, you have to start 100%.
I have to start over. And so the whole, we got you from here. Now, he might have been a douchebag for sure. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you can hear it. To me, it did, like when I heard the voice, he didn't sound like he was intentionally trying to be rude. It was literally like
calm and deliberate.
Like it was literally, hey, like, thank you. I don't know if that's what he said, but like, this is what I hear. Cause this is
what
how
I heard
try
is
to
he said, get the fuck out of here.
And that,
fuck you, little man.
And that's not what I heard.
Move.
It's literally
I did go down and put my application in at the fire department though.
You should.
But it literally is like now there are steps, right?
Yeah.
Because once extrication starts, there's all kinds of things that go into that. As far as securing the vehicle, making sure that it's locked in, locked out. Like there's a whole bunch of
That's one of the
things.
reasons why I didn't leave her to go get the glass breaker. Dude, I was like, dude, I don't want this car. It's steaming, obviously.
Right.
And I didn't know, is it going to catch on fire?
Sure.
And then I
Who
really
knows?
got to spring into fucking some kind of Superman action.
Right.
Because I didn't know how to get dude, I was so disappointed. I know side glass. I've seen it before.
It's hard to
I've
break.
taken training classes where we're working around vehicles and shit and operating around vehicles, but goddamn, that thing would not break. And I was like,
corner v
fuck.
tungsten. That's what's going to work. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It needs to be something that's glass is hard,
but
it's brittle. So if you find something that's harder and you give it some, that's why those carbide tips are carbide. You have to give it a little bit of a fracture and then the rest of it will compromise.
dude, when I kicked it the second time, and dude,
yeah,
I'm like, what?
I'll have to show you. You probably even have something like this, but on my passenger visor, like no matter what position I'm in, when I raise my hand up, I can reach it. It's like a little Velcro pouch.
Yeah.
And inside of it, it's like I think it's made by Benchmade. It has like a pinky loophole, and you could literally just like hook a seatbelt and pull, and it just
So we
cuts it,
sell
and then you can break
all the
windows.
SOG tools, the same freaking thing. I have one in every one of our vehicles and every one of my kits, but it was like I didn't grab it. Like I jumped out of that truck so quickly.
Action.
But
like,
here's what's interesting about that too. Like this is what I would say, especially because of the weather conditions. One, like she's sustained, she was unrestrained at the point of your contact with her.
Yeah.
So there's a high potential for acute spinal injury.
Oh, dude, that's all I kept thinking. Don't move. Please
So,
don't move.
Don't move. But here's the other thing that a lot of people don't think of, and in California, it's easy to neglect, but it is thermal regulation.
Yep. Keep
when
them
you
warm.
go into trauma,
Bro.
like keeping people
Space
warm
blanket
is super essential.
From the time that I broke that window until the time they got there, her color
Changed.
was changing
Yes.
rapidly. And she was getting more like hyper, like she was
hyperventilating.
hyperventilating. She could barely collect herself.
She's panicked.
panicked.
I would say if somebody in that situation, if you can get them neutral and in a relative position of comfort.
That's what I tried to do. I tried to lay her flat on her belly because I couldn't get her on her back.
But not extricating her because you're not going to get her out of that culvert on your own.
Nope.
And now she's going to be out of the vehicle and in snow or in water, which environmentally makes it way worse.
Yeah. Yeah. There's and for people listening, I don't know if anyone knows, it might be common knowledge, and you can correct me on anything I fuck up because you know more about body than I do. But when you hit, your hands probably, when you were probably hitting that window, or even by the time you got up to your truck, your hands were probably burning cold.
Oh yeah, I was. Well, all my feet, I was soaking wet.
Yeah. That doesn't help you. That's the worst part. But and this goes into like when we teach people like high stress shooting situations, when your body goes, oh fuck, and your amygdala just starts dumping chemicals out,
your dexterity,
cortisol, lactic acid, and so your body's retracting all of the blood from your extremities, right? So when people start, you can immediately like, even on the simulator, you could see people afterwards, like they'll put their hands together because their fingers get cold and stuff.
Well, it's like you get you ever had a huge adrenaline dump and then you start shivering when you come down?
Bro,
yeah.
I was on like a freaking high for like 4 hours, but then when I came down, I was crashed out.
Oh yeah, it feels headache.
I'll give you the video, or not the video. I'll give you the picture, and you can post it on here so people could see that freaking like
I've got it.
The huge ditch, dude. I don't know.
Huge.
I would just hope that someone would stop
for you,
for one of my kids, for one of me, for me, my wife.
This is
for anybody.
This is what I would consider being like a part of community. Like, do you know her? No, but like. As a man, as a leader, as a part of a community, like if you have the capability to intervene, and it doesn't matter if you can solve the problem, but can you be a part of the process of a problem being solved? And it's your duty to do so.
Yeah, that's what I was telling my father-in-law. I'm like, he's like, you're a good man for doing that. I'm like, dude, you would do it. I would do it. Your son would do it. Anybody that we would hang around with.
I would say you're a man.
You're a man.
I would give you all kinds of hell if you didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For whatever reason. But you're a man. Like I think you're a good man, but that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And thank you for
I think it was weird. The weirdest thing about the whole thing, and I was telling Justin and them, they were over at our house last night for the Super Bowl. It was just so surreal. The car was gone. It was gone.
Yeah,
like
it was
no
down
trace.
There. Yeah,
like no trace of it.
Well, thank God that you saw that flash and thought to stop and look, because she would have never been discovered.
No,
dude. The only reason why it would have been a flash is because she had the fucking brakes on.
Right.
She's riding the brake
and lost control
because she had zero lights on coming the other way, so she wouldn't have. And it was like a flash. And the only reason it was a flash at that angle is because she was gone. She was leaving the road.
And also, it's not even.
She would have never been discovered.
No, never.
No.
She would have just sat there.
And likely wouldn't have been able to call 911 if you didn't have service. She definitely didn't.
She was trying. She gave me her phone when I finally, she's trying to tell me to call her brother, but she had already tried calling 911. Call failed, call failed, call failed.
Yeah.
She had zero service down there.
Those are the types of situations where, I mean, she may not have had immediate life sustaining or fatal injuries. What are you laughing at?
Just continue.
No, that's cool. Dark humor is fun.
Yeah.
But all I thought was like, as soon as she handed you your phone, you should have been like, thanks, and just taken off. Just like she hands you the phone.
Sweet, phone.
Call. Oh, fuck yeah, free phone. And just left. I know that's morbid, but that's where my brain went.
Dude, that's fine.
Like free fucking phone.
It was wild, dude. So anyhow, hats off to all you first responders.
Things can go fatal.
Crazy.
Yeah, things can become fatal when they may not have been otherwise. It's just for lack of. It
was just so weird. Like the car was gone, and there's not a trace.
Yeah,
like as people go missing. You know
not even tracks off the road where somebody would be like, "Huh,
weird."
So hear me out here. She hit her head. She's unconscious.
Oh yeah.
She has no way to communicate at all. I'm just saying it hypothetically.
Mm-hmm. Well, you said her color was changing. She was gonna lose consciousness at some point. She goes unconscious in that situation. Mm-hmm. Prolonged exposure, in shock, losing blood. Mm-hmm. Like,
dude, if that car was another foot, the whole thing would have been full of water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another foot, it would have been full of water.
Dude, it's
crazy.
Well, think about also...
You were a godsend for her that day, man. Yeah. Seriously.
It's weird.
You were supposed to be there.
Yeah,
you were supposed to be there.
You were supposed to be there. And also think about like the average fucking person never would have even thought a fucking second about what happened.
Well,
most people would probably just
not had the thought of that seemed odd. Let me stop and look.
Yeah. Most people would have just been like, oh, taillights, and not even looked back. Like, there are people that are that
it was just
unaware.
more odd that plow. In my mind, when I first saw the plow, like, why the fuck is he plowing in the middle of the road?
So would
and
you
then
say
that car came around?
The plow caused her to go onto the shoulder and she couldn't manage it?
No doubt.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that she wasn't driving fast, or I don't know how fast she was going.
She probably wasn't being defensive enough and then overcorrected.
Yeah. That's likely what I'm thinking is that she
but
was
the
on the
plow
shoulder
for
to be
sure
safe.
did not help her situation by any means.
But
she
you
never corrected getting that fucking.
But you were
tire
driving
out of that.
Well, she may
defensively.
have tried too. She might
She
have
could've.
tried.
But here's the other
and
thing:
just
you were driving
nothing.
defensively. You saw the plow coming from a
But
couple
he was
hundred
going the
yards
same
away.
direction that I was. We were traveling in the same direction.
Yeah.
He was in front of me, but I
Which
saw him in the middle.
I guess my point is there's a strong likelihood that she wasn't looking up, because
But
if
think
you
about
see a
this.
plow in the middle of the road, what should
slow
you
the
do?
fuck down.
You come
Slow
to
down.
an almost stop,
Yeah.
not quite stop because you still need some momentum if you need to correct, but almost to a crawl, and then you give them as much of a berth as they need.
Yeah.
Period. That's defensive driving.
It was weird though, because you know when they plow, and then if you have to make a lane change and you go over that little hump of,
It's
you know
like,
how it's fucking like crazy.
Yeah.
That's what she was experiencing. I bet you she could not get her wheel back.
Yeah, I'm
up.
sure she turned
maybe.
and got
You know what I
resistance.
mean?
Oh, so she tried to pass the plow.
She was oncoming the plow,
Oh,
so she moved over because he was so far over. She moved
Oh.
over just.
so you
enough.
were in the same lane of travel or
As the
direction of
plow.
travel as the plow.
Yes.
She was opposing you. Okay,
Yes.
got it. I understand.
Yes.
Yeah, she's lucky you were there. It's really strange to me. So I think I've told this story to you guys, maybe not. I was coming home from Clear Lake for my friend's bachelor party. My buddy has like
Clear Lake, California?
Yeah, my buddy has 150 acres at the top of the mountain.
Really?
And it literally goes up and over them. It's a fucking amazing. Cool
Can we go
place.
pig hunt out there?
Probably. I mean,
Be amazing.
if you
Yeah,
want to go
hook
to
that
Clear,
up, please.
if you wanna
Yeah,
go to
let's
Clear
go.
Lake, I mean, it's completely undeveloped. The only structure he has is he built an outhouse for him to shit
Dude,
and look over the
Clear
valley.
Lake is I don't even it is an undiscovered gem.
It is. It's super methy, and the people there are a little weird sometimes. But
It is.
Hardcore
Hardcore
methy.
methy.
hardcore methy. But
Hardcore
once you get
methy.
up, so perfect example is to get up to his property is an hour drive on a single lane dirt road.
I love that.
And if you mess up at all,
Yeah.
bye.
I love that.
Right? Like it was to the point where like he gave me coordinates to get to it just in case.
That's how I sent out my bachelor party.
yeah, coordinates.
I sent out my bachelor party invite. I sent coordinates to the guys and said, "This is the given time hack." And so many people were like, "Did you just give coordinates out for your bachelor party invite?" I'm like, "Yes, I did."
yeah, and if you look, and you can find it easy. Coordinates give you exact
Yeah, exactly.
locations.
Yeah, you just got to put it in the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and or know how to use
Or
the
in the
map.
Jeep. Yeah. Or yeah. Nobody knows how to use a map
But
anymore.
so on my way home from that, it was literally just me and my dog,
Yeah.
who is my old guy now. Talk about that in another episode. Anyways, I'm driving and it's on the freeway. And I was like not even near like it was still pretty much nowhere, but I was heading one direction. It was a 2-lane road, and I'm cruising, and in front of me is like a Prius, and then just out of nowhere, just a group of Hell's Angels just whoa, 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 whoa,
Oh, yeah.
whoa, 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 just overpassing on the oncoming traffic lane.
Were you on 20 going over there? That 2-lane road that goes across their water on both sides?
No. There was
Or
no
were-
water on either side. I'll have to
Oh, that's
look
on
at the
that
map.
bay side.
Yeah.
Going to
I-
You were
I was-
coming from where?
I was coming from Clear Lake back to the Bay Area.
Oh, you probably headed over to 101 then.
I was headed towards 101.
Yeah.
Yeah. 9
That sounds right.
something. Anyways,
Yeah, look.
so a bunch of Hell's Angels flying by they were oncoming traffic. They were in the oncoming traffic lane because there was just no cars, so they were just jamming. I'm talking 20, 30
Yeah.
bikes. I mean, startled me when they passed by because it was so fast. I was like, I didn't even know they were coming.
Yeah.
And as they're going, they're still going.
You might have been taking 175.
It could have been 175. Because up ahead there is water and like this really weird white. It looks like a steamboat, hotel. It's really weird. Anyways, I just see the Prius hit its brakes, and then the brake lights go off, and I see a motorcycle flying, and I just see a body just take off, boom, and the Prius just passes it. So I'm like, oh fuck.
Did it rear end it?
No,
Rear-
I don't
oh.
know what happened. He lost control or something. I literally saw the bike above the Prius in the air, and then I just saw a body shoot off to the shoulder, and I was like, oh, that's not good. So I immediately start doing the CHP slowdown because there was cars behind me.
you.
And I was like, look, I don't know what's going on. I don't understand the scene. I don't know but I do know that Prius just passed him and didn't
Yeah.
even think to
Think it
stop. So I finally come up. I stop both lanes of traffic because I'm like, dude, if I'm getting out of my car on this road right now,
Yeah, I'm gonna
no
protect.
one's
Oh, dude.
fucking moving. So I literally look at my dog and I remember saying, stay here. And I close the door on him. I'm like, what the fuck is he going to do?
Was the guy
Yeah.
all right?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, he lived. So, and I have to look up my Instagram or my Facebook messages. I'll tell you all about it. But I get out and I'm in jeans, boots, and just like a t-shirt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I get over to him and it is just compound fracture life, dude. His helmet is like busted and cracked and messed up.
Oh, wow.
He did have a helmet on, which was great.
A skull cap or what?
Yeah. So his face was exposed, but he had a helmet on. His femur was showing out of his thigh. His arm had it was so mangled.
Spaghetti.
Just noodles, dude. It literally looked like a bowl of spaghetti. I got to him and he was completely unconscious. And I was like, fuck.
He was breathing though?
He was breathing, but it was like almost agonal.
Like
it was
breathing.
it was so slow and intermittent. And then so I like literally get down on my knees next to him, and this dude's fucking bleeding everywhere. Like I was almost going into shock myself with like how quick it escalated.
Yeah.
Because I didn't get to him and I was like, okay.
Yeah, you go from listening to a podcast to dealing with a mangled body.
Dude, that's really kind of what happened. I was just
I
listening
at least
to
have a
music.
run up. I'm like, okay, I'm going to something. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'll put myself in the headspace.
And the whole time too, it's like also like,
Yeah, and you're
okay,
reading all the notes on the way there. So like, okay, I need this, I need that. Like,
well, and I had traffic blocked. I'm like, okay, please no one hit my truck. Like, you know, I was thinking about so
Lots of
many
stuff.
different literal like things at once.
When was this?
This had to have been
This is before we knew each other.
way before. Yeah, this is right after my wedding. So 10 years.
Okay.
10 years.
Yeah.
And mind you, and I was thinking too, oh, my friends have to be behind me somewhere. Like they have to be somewhere behind me.
Yeah.
because you're all leaving there at the same
Yeah,
time.
I mean, I left like an hour before them, but I'm like, they have to be behind me somewhere. So I'm like, okay, everything's gonna be fine. Get to them, realize like I need to go get my first aid kit. Mind you,
Did his club stop?
it felt like an eternity, like you were saying, before anyone returned, and only like 4 or 5 of them returned. Everyone else kept going.
Yeah.
And
they didn't know. They probably didn't.
didn't know, but a few of them were like, oh, and they came back. But by the time they had come back, he had regained some consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, hey, you were in a bad wreck, dude. And he was
Don't
just right
move.
away, just opened his eyes and he's just like, "Ugh," just like immediate pain. I'm like, look at me, eyes on me. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? What's your name? Told me his name. I can't even remember it now. And I was just like, all right, look, like, here's the gig. Like, I'm going to get you help. And finally, someone else came over and he's like, and I was like, can you call 911? I didn't have my phone on me. It was sitting plugged into my truck. He's like, okay, I'll call 911. Some other guy came up and he's like, I'm a doctor. And I was like,
Cool, you're in charge.
Yeah,
well,
you're in
right.
charge,
Well, I was
dude.
like, all right, cool. Do you have a trauma bag? And he said, no.
It's like,
And I was like, so are you like a fucking gynecologist? Like, help me out here, dude. I'm
my experience, the doctors who are not the ones that you want are the ones who announce themselves as doctors.
yeah, I'm a doctor. And I'm like, cool.
It's like usually like podiatrists.
When he got on he's a dentist.
I'm a chiropractor.
Paging Dr.
Neat.
Faggot. He gets on the other side of him. And so we're like on our knees facing him. And I'm like, okay, the first and foremost thing that needs to be done is I have to apply major fucking pressure to this wound.
This is before you like started carrying medical.
Nothing. Yeah. I literally was like, I need my first aid kit. Like my fucking, my one fucking Band-Aid.
EMS rolls up that you got like Band-Aids on this
All
guy's like
over him, just little
Dude, he had
dinosaur
his
Band-Aids
dog.
and
He had
shit.
his dog. Paw Patrol. Fucking
Ruh-roh.
first aid kit.
So I'm like, fuck. This blood has to stop fucking immediately. Like this is the leg was the. I don't know if it was his femoral, but it was just like. It was just
pumping.
It was fucking.
Oh, it's arterial.
Going, dude.
If it was pumping like that, it's arterial.
Took my shirt off.
Femoral bleeds you will die quick.
Dude, I'm telling you, there was so much fucking blood. I was covered in blood by the time I got back to my truck. I like took my shirt off and I put it on like what I could see, like the blood coming from. And I just pushed as hard as I fucking could on it. And I was like, stay with me, bud. Stay with me. I heard sirens coming, but they were coming from behind where I came from. So mind you,
they're fighting traffic and you
I
block
had stopped
traffic.
fucking traffic. So I hear the sirens. I'm like, the sirens are coming. It's cool. I'm like, look at me. And you could tell he's going into shock. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, hey man, do you have any kids? And he's like, yeah, I have 2 kids. I'm like, what are their names? And I saw him immediately kind of come back to me a little bit. And I was like, you need to fucking fight, buddy. Like you need to fucking fight right now. Like you need to fucking stay right here with me and shit. I'm holding him and fucking finally fire truck, police came from the other side. And then the ambulance ended up dipping off and coming around everyone. And dude, I felt like I got yanked off of him.
Mm-hmm.
And they were 0 delay, dude. Those motherfuckers were on him so fucking fast, dude. Like, huge trauma bag hit the ground right next to him. They pull me away. And so in this process, so the 5 or 6 Hells Angels dudes that rolled back, as soon as the siren sounded close enough, they all fucking were like, we got to go. And they dipped. They stopped at his bike, and then they left. So
really?
So I'm assuming
they were on a run.
They were on a run for sure. They were for sure up grabbing drugs or something, whatever they had to transport, and they were gone.
Dude, I was never so excited to hear the fire engine.
Isn't it the most,
bro?
like,
I was like,
God.
dude, I even told her. I said, hey, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Can you hear that? They're
Yeah.
here. They're gonna help you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
that's kind of weird, man. I've never really thought about it from that side.
Yeah, dude, it's a relief.
Yeah,
but it's also like, hurry up.
Yeah.
And then I was bummed out when they were walking hella slow. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. These guys rolled up quick. I don't know I don't know anything about the 911 dispatching. I don't know which exact person called or what the information was, but they showed up ready to fucking go.
Well, like I roll up on scene and like, you know, as soon as I can see what's going on, especially if I'm first on, I'm looking. Like my windshield is my and I'm trying to figure out. I'm like, okay, cool. 1, 2, how many cars are involved? And I'm on the radio already.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I've got 3 cars involved, you know, 1 minor, 2 major, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Looks like I've got, you know, self-extrication on one side, possible entrapment on another. You know what I mean? I'm already looking at like what's going on. And if all I see is a single motorcycle that is confettied everywhere, and a dude bearing down on a guy's leg, like I know, like, okay, cool, like
we got to stop blood now.
I've got my picture goes from really wide to, okay, now I know I have a relatively single point of focus.
Yeah, it was a trip. They pulled me off.
What is the EM? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, they pulled me off. They took over, and I kind of stood there for a second and kind of like, One of the cops is like, "You need to get your truck off the road.
Yeah,
I'm gonna cone everything off." Blah blah blah. So in doing so, I was like, I'm useless here, because they asked me. Like, the cops were like, "Well, what happened?" I'm like, "I just saw a fucking motorcycle.
I saw a body and
I saw a body fly.
Yeah.
I saw a car pass him, so I stopped."
Yeah, the cop kept asking me, "Did you see the car? Did you see that?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I physically can't tell you that. Yes, I saw the car leave the roadway and go into that ditch."
Yeah. And it's weird too, because even if you had seen it, there's this level. Like I experienced a level of disbelief, kind of like a holy.
Did that just happen?
Like, is that like?
I'm still confused on how it got the fuck over there. Like literally,
yeah, dude.
Like how did it fly that far and upside down? Like I would love to have seen the Dukes of Hazzard part of it.
Yeah.
And
so
I mean,
and also to preface this too, and this is my past. Don't judge me, guys. The night before, I had eaten a handful of fucking mushrooms.
Oh yeah,
and I was
still coming down.
I was fully down. I had come back to earth, but in coming back to earth, I was like, kind of like that hangover from the psychs all night.
Sure.
That you think I didn't smoke 2 joints with my buddies and shit before I hopped in my truck?
Yeah.
Like, of course I was stoned.
Yeah.
So this all is happening, and I'm just like,
well,
I wasn't even worried like, oh, the police are going to come and be like, are you stoned? Like, they're not worried about that. And I was helping. So I wasn't worried about any of that. It was literally just like, I am so fucking stoned right now. Like, there was like a moment of disbelief.
Yeah.
The fact that I was able to spring into action and kind of like, oh shit, sobriety, and just go handle it was amazing. So mind you, no shirt on. I have fucking blood. I didn't even
everywhere.
Dude, when I say I was covered in blood, dude, I got in my truck.
Oh, at that point, like, I would have assumed you were a patient until I can confirm you weren't.
No, I said I was fine.
Yeah.
I said I was fine. I'm fine. I'm trying to stop his bleeding.
Yeah.
Like, I was like frantic. The cop's like, okay, cool. I gave him a little statement real quick. He was like, what happened? I told him, and he's like, all right, you need to get your truck out of the road. Got my truck, and I was like, I don't need to stay here.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
But now I'm all bloody.
So I'm sitting and I'm driving.
Out of that ambulance.
I'm sitting and I'm driving. I'm like, and I'm on the freeway now. Mind you, there's no cars anywhere, but now there's backup traffic on the left side.
And
I'm
you're covered in blood.
Yeah, I'm covered in fucking blood. And then I'm like, oh, I should call Erica and let her know. So I call Erica and I'm like, hey, holy shit, what's going on? And in this conversation, I'm looking at my hands and my arms and my pants, and I'm just like, I need to get all this fucking blood off of me fucking now.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm like hypochondriac Jeromy.
Yeah, dude. I'm like, AIDS. Like, I was freaking out. So
like, definitely methy, like some Hep C at least.
Yeah. So I fucking pull off on the next, like, little, like, it's like not even like a truck stop. It's like a micro city. And there was a Starbucks. So me being me, I'm like, I could probably use a coffee too. I pull up to Starbucks. I grab my sweatshirt out of the back. And I'm like holding it in my arms with my hands free. And I like kick the door open to go into the bathroom. I walk into fucking Starbucks looking like I just murdered
someone. Yeah.
Probably
everyone's staring at me.
It's Lake County. They're used to it.
I go into the bathroom. I'm just like scrubbing my hands. I'm like, okay, that's enough. I got as much as I could without.
I'm curious. I'd be curious to, if that guy really had a femoral bleed, I mean, he may not have lived through that.
He did. So, the one thing that I remember from the guys on the bikes is they were Oakland MC. Hell's Angels. So I was like, I wonder if I could find out what, like, once I got home and all that stuff, the very
Just
next
reached
day,
out to the club.
I reached out, I found their Facebook group and I messaged them and I was like, hey, I saw one of your homies wreck. I was the one that was holding their t-shirt on him and stuff, all this stuff. And I don't know. I just, hey, I hope he's okay and all that stuff. And they fucking respond. They're like, he's going to be fine. He's going to live. He's okay. He's fucked up and stuff, but like, thank you so much. We fucking owe you one.
You're like, go and put that in the bank.
Well, no, as soon as I said, Erica, and I like ran over to her and I said, look, they fucking owe me one.
I was so mad because the first person I called after this situation was Sherry, and she was actually getting ready. So she was in the shower and I kept calling and I'm like, motherfucker,
answer your phone.
Answer your phone. I got to tell somebody what just happened. It was fucking wild. Dude.
I didn't get AIDS or Hep C.
Nice.
So I didn't have any open wounds, fortunately.
The best protection is intact skin.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's disbelief, but that was the beginning of when I was like, I need to have a better system in my truck. Cause if I had a tourniquet, dude, I could have applied a tourniquet in 10 seconds. Like it could have been literal blood stops now.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that.
Yeah.
Shit's important, dude. I have them in every car.
Everything.
Like
Eric's
I have
car,
one
my
on
car.
me always, every single day.
Mhm.
Like,
Yep.
Even if I go somewhere where I don't have a gun, like if like go to a concert, I've had, dude, so crazy.
Drunk people fall.
Gone to a concert right here locally and had my tourniquet in the pocket, and they're like, "Oh, take everything out of your pocket, and keys, all this." They're like, "What do you need that for?" Like,
because you're not everywhere.
Do you not
Mr.
know
Security
what this
Man?
thing does? Yeah.
Mr. Veritas.
Yeah. So it's crazy, and we've talked about it before on other podcasts, dude. Medical is fucking important, and it's not
learning how to use it.
Yeah, and even if you don't, like,
I'm not gonna say it's more important than carrying your gun, but it is.
It's right there with it.
It is a 0.1%,
bro,
less.
And if we look at the statistics, you are more likely going to use your medical equipment than a gun.
2 times mountain biking. One, I had a serious crash on a bike. Didn't require a tourniquet, but I hit my head hella hard, and I fucked up my arm.
Explains a lot.
You cannot tourniquet your head.
No, but I was actually riding with somebody where they ran into a stick and the thing went right through his fucking leg.
Super common injury.
Super common on mountain bikes and motorcycles.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those.
That needed. There was other people there. They took care of it. But it was in the group that I was riding with, and the stick went right through that guy's leg.
I asked Simpson, TechMed.
Yeah.
We flew him out to do the first on the scene class. Great class. You were in the class.
Yeah, I was in the class.
I think you asked when he was talking about like head trauma, and I was like, you tourniquet the neck, right? And then I tried my best to like turn the whole conversation. I was like, and if it's his dick, you tourniquet the balls.
Yeah.
And
dude,
he was like, no. And
so
he
in
just kept going.
Sacramento, we used to have the doctor that Sherry worked for at the trauma center, Dr. Z, fucking badass dude. Like, if you get shot anywhere in Sacramento, you want that dude working on you.
Yep.
And he's seen more gunshot wounds because he's obviously Afghanistan and all that shit. But he's a trauma surgeon at Roseville, Sutter Roseville. So he would come and put on the Stop the Bleed classes. And dude, his slideshow,
brutal,
wild, bro.
I bet.
Wild shit, dude. It get people captivated. They're like, whoa. And dude, he would go into all of it, and those were the best Stop the Bleed classes. Just like real world. These are my experiences.
I do my best to try to take pictures of all the big stuff. So I've got a album.
You should put a pinpoint together and collab.
You should honestly, if you and Nick want to get together and teach a class together, I think it'd be nothing but beneficial for him anyways. Yeah. I mean, even Nick was in two-tour Afghanistan and Iraq veteran, in combat veteran, not even just like I got to sit on base. Like, he was fucking fighting.
Yeah, seeing all kinds of shit.
Yeah, and he told me once that I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, so he's CLS and all that.
Yeah. Oh no, he has all that, and he's hypercritical of like medical. But like, even I remember him telling me a story, and I can't remember if the guy got shot in the neck or the chest or something. But him and all his buddies were looking, or his like comrades. They all looked and they're like, we need someone with a higher pay grade for this one. And they just transported the guy as fast as they could.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't know what to do with this much stuff.
Well, there is a point, and even in EMS, like I've got a lot of like tools at my disposal. And at a certain point, like the only treatment is diesel. Like, it is do what you can to support. Right. But
keep
like at the end of the day, this is what I tell all the people that I train, like EMS pre-hospital care. We specialize in establishing care and ABCs. And
Mhm.
ABCs are the same things that you learn in Stop the Bleed, which is like and I'm not going to say it's not, this isn't to diminish the importance of it, but it is the lowest level qualifier of medical education.
Mhm.
It's not hard. It's just, I would call it common sense, but it is the baseline.
Yeah.
And you teach ABC. You know what I mean? And that's what we do.
For the people listening,
What?
what is ABC?
Oh, airway, breathing, circulation.
Yep.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Well, because there might be someone that's just
Yeah,
like,
no,
what's
you're
that?
right.
You're
Yeah,
just
but-
like A, B, C, D,
Yeah,
E, F, G.
Yeah, airway, breathing, circulation, and then trauma, you'll hear like major hemorrhage.
Yeah.
So, but that is what we do. It
Yeah.
is support those things, because those are the things that, if you think about your body as a vehicle, right? Like, you got to keep air going in and out.
Yeah.
You got to keep the oil in the motor. Like, you got to keep the fluids going round and round. Like, it's very
It's
simple.
crazy the things that you learn, like through Dr. Z and just other people that are in the medical field. Like, so if you get in a shooting or something and somebody's standing upright, like they could be like collapse, and as soon as they get horizontal, their blood pressure goes back up, and they can
Correct.
get actually back into the fight, and they can, their body just does crazy shit.
Yeah. So like we'll say like Trendelenburg position,
Yeah.
or like recovery position. You know,
That like
it's
slightly
a little bit.
laying,
So
but upright.
Trendelenburg is on your back with your legs elevated,
Mhm.
Mm.
right? And so essentially, what you're doing is you're relying on gravity and physics to do its thing,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're taking the big containers and putting it above the important stuff, and letting gravity
Help
feed
it out.
And that's why, like,
assist the shunting
when you take
process.
like a different level of training classes, like either it be AR or it's pistol, and they talk about timers and switches,
Mhm.
and people don't realize that, like timers,
Mm-hmm.
extremities, switches, neurological. If you want to lights out on somebody, you fucking shoot them in the face.
Yeah.
Domsky.
But
Yeah.
it's interesting how the body reacts.
It's hyper complex and incredibly simple all at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the symbiotic nature of our
I don't
body
know how we went
systems.
from church preparedness
Oh, we
to
burned like a whole hour
a
talking about
crash
this.
Yeah, we're like
to
an hour 20 in.
medical. I mean,
What time
what
is
a
your
good-
hard stop?
What a good episode.
Right now?
In 1 minute.
Okay. Cool.
So if you want a Stop the Bleed class,
Yeah, we'll set you guys up.
or even if you want first on the scene, like, clip this and I'll use this. But
Okay.
if you are looking, if you want to get a group of your fucking tribe together, or you want me to have a class here at SimShot soon with Josh or TacMed Sims or whatever you need, reach out, let me know, because we book that stuff when people are hyper interested in it, not just to have it on the books because it costs us a ton of money to fill those classes if we don't.
Mm.
And I don't want to pay the instructors out of pocket to teach people.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, if you want, please let us know or comment, whatever you need to do, and we'll get something going, because I mean, we just need 10 people.
And it's
to do
only in the
classes.
forefront because of what just happened this week,
Yeah.
but it should be in everybody's forefront
all the time.
all the time, because
All the time.
you'll never know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. And my offer still stands to anybody that's in any of the church groups. Maybe you guys can
Yeah.
distribute that. If there is a security personnel that is heading up the security at the local churches here, let me know. We will make the ammo super affordable for the live fire portion of the
Turns out
training.
I'm on a church team now.
Really?
If I'm getting discounts on ammo, yeah. Lord bless.
All right, y'all. No quarter pod on all the things. You know, the links are down below. We appreciate you guys. Please follow, like, comment, subscribe.
All the things.
Subscribe and comment. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help. We are like, what are we at? Like 700-ish now on
Mhm.
our YouTube. Help us push over that 1,000 mark. If we can get over that 1,000, that's like a big barrier for like the algorithm and for growth. So if
Yeah.
you guys can help share this stuff on YouTube and help us
Mhm.
push that YouTube subscriber count over 1,000.
Let's do it.
All right, y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We
Out.
out.